Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who is tuning in today is doing super fantastic. I have a very, very, very special guest with me today. We recently connected on Instagram. Today, our guest is Debi. Hi, Debi.
Hi,
How are
thanks
you
for having
doing
me.
today? Of
I'm doing
course.
great. Doing great in Southern California. So it's cold, so it's like 70.
70 is cold. A
Yeah.
real feel of 29 degrees here in New York City. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm jealous of you. Anyways, take a moment to introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. My name is Debbie, like India said. I'm a Pilates instructor here in Orange County, California. My Instagram is a tall girl Pilates, and I am 5'9", but I have extremely long limbs. I have a sister that's 6 foot, and I wear jeans that are longer than hers. And then I have a
Yep.
very long wingspan as well for someone my height. So,
So to anyone who says that 5'9" isn't tall, it is indeed tall, period. But now that you mentioned that you're tall and even your sister is tall, I want to hear about your experience growing up as a tall girl, the good, the bad, the ugly. What was that like for you?
um, yeah, I felt super awkward. I've been at this height since I was 14, like seventh, eighth grade, and I grew faster than most kids. So my one thing is my posture. I was always like slouching and trying to crouch. So for some reason, I thought that made me look shorter, and I was just trying to blend in. So I was kind of a shy kid, like nervous too, feeling uncomfortable and feeling like I was so different than everybody else. And my face gets really red naturally, um, especially when I am nervous. So I always like my red face, and people always ask me why I wear so much blush, and then being taller than a lot of the other kids.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that, especially with the feeling of, feeling embarrassed in a way. And it's so interesting to say because it's like, how can you be embarrassed about something you just naturally have? But, growing up, especially around people who are around our age, we want to relate to our peers,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
seeing that they're so much shorter than us when we're younger, it's just, I can definitely understand the feeling. So,
yeah.
what was something involving your height? It could be a question, it could be a comment. What was something involving your height that you absolutely hated hearing?
um, One thing that really was kind of stuck with me through the years is I was playing basketball. And because everybody told me to play basketball because I was tall, I really wanted to dance. But again, I felt so much taller than everybody else. And I was doing ballet, and there was nobody really tall that I knew that danced. And I was, everybody was here and I was way up here. And I don't know, I ended up quitting and playing basketball, which wasn't that good at because I'm not real aggressive. But one thing that has stuck with me is my coach one time put me in the key, put my arms out, and was like, "Look how long your arms are. You could guard up from one side of the court to the other, like in front of the whole team." And I don't know, that was really embarrassing for me for whatever reason. Um, and it just kind of stuck with me.
Wait, wait, wait. He said that during a game, literally in front of
Yeah.
every. Oh my
Yeah, I think
gosh.
I probably did something wrong, but I can't remember. But just I remember that. I remember that.
I
I
am
remember
so
that.
sorry that that happened to you. And also,
Yeah.
fun fact, because you said that you wanted to be a dancer. I used to be in dance too for literally this much of my life. I used to do tap dance. I used to do tap dance and ballet. And I'm telling you, the probably 50 millionth time that I fell flat on my face. Dude, because I was very uncoordinated as a child, like trying to grow into I was just very
Yeah,
awkward.
yeah,
The 50 millionth time I fell flat on my face during tap dance, I was like, there's no way I could do this. So honestly, kudos to you for, taking on dancing and really wanting to do that.
Well, and I do believe the dance did help me with my body and my height. And I have a daughter, she's 18 now. But when she was like 2 and 3, all she did want to do was ballet dance. And so I put her into class, and one of her very first teacher was this 6'1" beautiful dancer. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, like I've never seen a girl this tall be a ballet dancer before. And I was like, I was so happy because I didn't know how at that time how tall my daughter was going to be, but I just love that that was there, and it just made me so happy to see that.
Going back to your fitness journey, because you said that you are into Pilates now, like that is your page. Can you please tell us a little bit about your fitness journey, especially because you're tall and you did play some sports growing up?
hmm
How did being a tall woman shape your approach to exercise and fitness?
Well, I ended up finding Pilates actually when my daughter was a baby. I started doing Pilates for the first time after having a child, and I just loved the way it made me feel. And I was able to come back and feel stronger than I ever had doing Pilates. And so I just kind of did Pilates for fun for lots of years. I really love group fitness classes. I was like 12 years ago. I got laid off of my marketing job and was really struggling to find a job. So I ended up changing directions and becoming a Pilates instructor and also doing marketing for one of the studios I worked for. And it was a passion, and I was so excited to learn more about it. I will love all fitness. I think all forms of fitness. I was a runner, and I started getting into CrossFit. I had a lot of friends that did it. I mean, I was a little nervous to do it. And so, but I had so much fun going with my friends. Um, but everybody in CrossFit is like, they do things really fast. And I really struggled because when I squat, somebody that's shorter than me can do two squats to my one. You know, it just takes more time for me to go down and up versus someone who is shorter. So I was always really slow, but I'm not a competitive person. So I enjoyed and I had a good time. But it was actually a CrossFit coach when I was squatting. They're always like, get lower, get lower. And I was like, can't get lower. Like my body won't. And he goes, wow, you have really long femurs. So everybody says you should squat, you know, a certain way. He's like, but your legs are so long, you need to step your legs wider. And that teeny little thing made all the difference. I could do a normal squat. And I was like a light went off. And I was just like, and then I did some research into it. And it's like anatomically, like a narrow squat, our hips and our femurs hit in a certain way that you can't go that low in a squat with more of a narrow stance. So I tell my tall people in my class all the time, take a wider stance. And they're like, wow.
You know, that's actually very interesting that you bring that up, seeing how being tall can definitely mean that you have to take a different approach to
hmm
fitness, to exercising, to working out because of how we're built. We have to do things a little differently. Like
hmm
our, what is the word for it? Um, Not our posture, form, like our form in a way
hmm
has to be different than the
Yeah.
average height person. And
Yeah.
that's something that they don't really talk that much about, which is
Mm-mm.
like, I
Yeah.
mean, I can understand because most of the population is like average height or shorter,
hmm
but it's still something worth talking about because that can potentially lead to injury. But anyways,
Exactly. I mean, I still take classes and a teacher will be like, oh, bring your stance more narrow to squat. And I'm like, oh, they just don't know. You know, and I like once I learned that, I really did like the some research on it to understand the anatomy of it. I'm a little bit of a nerd that way, but and being able to, one thing I did love about Pilates is you want to go slow, you know, and you are in a group class, but it's so individualized. So going slow is really good. You don't want to go too fast when you're working with resistance on a reformer, particularly. If you go too fast, you could fall. So I love that about Pilates, going slow and very mindful. And you're working with a group of people about everybody. Um, it's so individualized because, you know, there could be slightly different things to each reformer. So you just have to listen to your body.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And honestly, I think it's smart, going back to what you said, it's smart that you're doing research on it because everybody is different. So it's really good to make sure that, you're doing what's right for your body.
Exactly.
And also, speaking of Pilates, Pilates is everywhere right now. It's like the big fad, it's the biggest trend, especially on TikTok, seeing how people are incorporating Pilates classes into their morning routines. And with its rise in popularity, should tall girls, should tall women give Pilates a try?
Absolutely. I call Pilates really like the exercise for life. You do focus on a lot of smaller muscles that do a big job to support the bigger muscles. So it's a great complement to other forms of exercise. That's why you see so many professional athletes doing it. They get to work those smaller muscles to help stabilize, they work their balance, and you work in a different way. I actually have a client, he's a surfer and a snowboarder, and he does all that. And he was snowboarding recently and hit a rock, and he said he should have fell, but he was able to like maneuver and like save it in a way that he's never been able to before. And he's like, that's because of the Pilates. He's like, I should have gotten injured. And so, I mean, it's like the little things too. Yeah. And yes, I think people like it because it is hard and you do get to build muscle. But it's also easy on your joints, more so than weightlifting. So it's just a little less impact in that way.
So, when you first started in Pilates, did you, like, similarly to how there was a bit of struggle with CrossFit in terms of the form because of your longer limbs, did you also find struggles as well when you started in your Pilates journey?
Yes, exactly. And that's how I got my Instagram name. When I started my training, there was a group of, I think, six, seven of us that we would meet on our workshops and work to do the program together. A few times learning new moves, I struggled more than anybody else. And we're always like, well, like she's in shape. Why isn't she struggling? Why is she struggling so hard? And it was because I'm tall. I had to set up the reformer a little bit different. I had to do different resistance. Like they'll give a suggestion, but again, like we talked about, finding what works right in your body. And with Pilates, it's like a physics-based concept. Like the distance times the resistance will equal the load. So if my arms are longer and I'm holding a handle and pressing it out further than somebody that might have shorter arms than me, the resistance will feel different for me versus them. Um, so it's all about your body. So yeah, so I have to go a little bit lighter on um, some of the resistance, but it doesn't matter. I'm getting just the greatest workout. So it's like you can't compare apples to oranges.
Yeah, very true. And not us bringing physics into the podcast, but I mean, that makes sense. That made sense what you said. And
Mhm.
then going off of that, what are your top Pilates, let's say three, what are your top three Pilates tips for tall women?
I would say, again, like do a resistance that works for you. Do pick a resistance for whatever exercise you're doing that you can fully lengthen your body and elongate your spine or whatever move you're doing. You could do an arm exercise, but you couldn't fully straighten your arms. Like change the resistance, use the longer loops, take a wider stance, those little adjustments in your body. So even if the teacher says something, but if that doesn't work for you, that resistance, then do a different one. So resistance, and they tell you what resistance to do. So feel free to make those adjustments. And ask your teacher too. They should know when standing, you might have to take a wider stance. So there's just like little things. It's just good to feel it in your body. Also doing any sort of ab work when you are laying on your back and you like lift your feet up in the air, like we call it a tabletop position. Our legs are longer. We have more leg. We have more bone. So it's going to feel heavier. We have longer legs, so that's a bigger challenge on our abs. So just being mindful of all that.
And then also, I have like two mini follow-up questions, right? The first one is kind of like, you would consider that Pilates is a low impact type of
Mm-hmm.
workout,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So, in your opinion, like, do you think that lower impact workouts could potentially be better than higher impact workouts? I mean, obviously it's going to vary from
Mm-hmm.
person to person, but
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to know your views on lower impact workouts versus higher impact workouts, especially for women of different body types, even if they're tall, have longer limbs, or just average height or anything. I would like to hear your views on that.
Um, what I love about low impact exercises, it's something that you can do throughout your whole life, no matter what your age. I have taught children Pilates, and I have clients in their
Wait,
80s.
children can do Pilates?
Yeah, yeah,
That's crazy. I
absolutely.
have not heard of that. I want to look that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've trained some high school athletes, and I have clients in their 80s and everything in between. So it's something with a low impact exercise, of course, if, as long as you're healthy enough, that's something you can do at any age. I love that. High impact exercises, when you get to a certain age, or maybe you have some sort of condition, osteoporosis. Sometimes that high impact stuff can not be safe. So that's something not always that you can do throughout your life. I mean, that being said, I do have a client that is in his 70s and he's a marathon runner and runs a marathon a month and he's amazing. But he does say, I couldn't keep doing this at my age if I wasn't doing Pilates.
That's
So,
very interesting. I mean, because
yeah.
that was also like the second question that I had
Hmm.
in terms of you saying that you do Pilates in combination with other forms of exercise. What other forms of exercise do you do along with Pilates, and how do you see the benefit of those working together, if that even makes any sense?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I used to be a runner and I would get sciaticas and like this shooting pain. So when I would do Pilates and run, I didn't get that sciatica pain, that like shooting down at the back of my leg. Um, just because my joints were more flexible and you move your body and especially your arms and legs in a way that we don't normally move them. For example, I call this Pilates dessert, and I always do it at the end of my classes. It's called feet and straps, or you lay on your back on the reformer and you put your feet into the straps and you do circles. So you're moving your
Oh,
hip in that big circular fashion, which our hips are can do, but in our normal day to day, we don't do that movement. And anytime you move a joint, this is a little cheesy saying, but they say motion is lotion for your joints. So the more you move a joint or the more you move your body, the better it's going to feel. Yeah.
that's a good one. That last part. Tips for all the tall girlies who's having that pain out there.
Yeah.
Motion is lotion for the
Yeah. And it helps
body.
posture too. Being tall, we want to have our good posture.
Also, third, I know I said two questions, but just one more because you were talking about a Pilates move. I was gonna ask, what is your favorite Pilates like move or technique? I'm sorry, I don't know how they call it.
Oh, that's a good one. My favorite Pilates move or technique, we call it supine arms. So on the reformer, you'll lay on your back and you'll grab the straps and you'll be doing arms, but at the same time, your legs are up in a tabletop. So you're just getting a killer ab workout too. So it's definitely one of my go-to moves to teach just because it's kind of cool that you get to work out lying down on your back. Some of my least favorite would be like standing on the machine for balance because
Oh,
I'm always like, I have a long way to go if I fall.
yeah. I can
That's my
understand
least
that.
favorite.
And I don't know if we said that before earlier, but are you able to list just some of the benefits of Pilates?
Yeah, absolutely. Increase flexibility, improves your balance, helps build muscle. Also, an exercise that can help strengthen your bones as well. Any weight bearing exercise will help increase your bone strength and density, which is really important as women. As we age, our bones become more brittle. So, anytime you can do any weight bearing exercise, whether it's walking, Pilates, weightlifting, whatever your form of movement is great. Yeah, range of motion for your spine. It keeps your spine really healthy too, like all those little bones in your back too. And being a tall girl and having a long spine too is something we want to take care of.
Thank you so, so much, Debbie, for coming on here today and talking to us a little bit about fitness as tall women and Pilates and your tips and moves and so forth. And our last question, what is one piece of advice that you want to give to the tall girls listening right now who are struggling with their self-esteem and potentially even their fitness because of their height?
Embrace who you are, love who you are. And I know I've always struggled with my self esteem throughout the years, but the more self love you have, the better everything will be in your life. The more you accept and love who you are, you're able to love others better. And to be true to yourself, you're going to succeed. You know, you're going to do amazing things, whatever it is, but it all starts with you. It all starts with loving yourself and be different, stand out. Why not? We should do it. Go for it. Just bringing good vibes and positivity. Even when things are tough, fake it till you make it sometimes. And don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to any other tall girl. And we got each other.
Yes, I really love that last part. Tall Girl community is always here to support each other. Thank you
Yeah.
so, so much for that, Debbie. Please, can you tell us where we can find you on the interweb, socials, anything?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as a tall girl Pilates. I'm on TikTok as well. So, yeah.
Wait, is it the same username
Yeah, oh,
as
yeah. Yeah,
Instagram?
tall girl
Okay.
Pilates. Hmm.
Tall Girl Pilates across
Yeah.
the board, y'all. And this is a good time to plug myself. Of course, at a Tall Girls Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. I'm literally everywhere. We're doing the thing. We're doing the thing. You could search me up on Google and Google will tell you where I'm at.
Yeah, you're
Wait,
doing a
not
great thing.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you again so much, Debbie, for joining us today. I really do appreciate it. I really enjoyed hearing about your insights into fitness and into Pilates. It was honestly so amazing.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And make sure you hit Debbie up if you have any other questions or you want to make any other comments. Of course, you can always hit me up. And until then, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Good night and goodbye.
Bye.